Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking into a really tough case, one that hits hard on issues of responsibility, mental health, and, well, police actions.
Yeah, we're unpacking the disappearance and death of Mitrice Richardson. It's a case out of Los Angeles County that just raises so many questions.
Absolutely. We've got a pile of sources here, reports, articles,
Yeah.
timelines.
Right, and our mission today is really to sift through all this, understand what happened to her life that night, the release from custody, which is incredibly controversial.
The search, finding her remains, and then the long legal fight afterward.
Exactly. We need to map out where things went wrong, why protocols maybe failed, and why this case still resonates so much.
Okay, let's set the scene. Mitrice Richardson, born in 1985, so she was only 24 back in 2009 when this all happened. She was African-American, an open lesbian, graduated Cal State Fullerton just the year before, 2008, degree in psychology.
Right. Worked as an executive assistant, also did some dancing part-time. Seems like she was really connected, family, community.
Which makes the night of September 16th, 2009 even more jarring.
Totally. So she's at Jeffrey's restaurant in Malibu, pretty upscale place. And people there, staff, other diners, they noticed her acting. Well, the word used is bizarre, erratic.
And the immediate problem was she couldn't pay her bill, right? An
Oh.
$89 tab.
Yeah, that was the catalyst. The restaurant called the sheriff's department, the LASD.
Okay, let's pause there. The police response. What was their first assessment? Because this feels like the first major turning point.
It really is. So officers from the Malibu Lost Hills station show up. They give her a field sobriety test right there. Yep. And here's the critical part. They determined she was not drunk, not high, not under the influence of anything.
Huh. Okay. So no substances involved, according to their own test.
Correct. But because of the bill and her behavior, they arrested her. Suspicion of defrauding an innkeeper, basically, not paying, and also possession of less than an ounce of marijuana, a very small amount.
So arrested for behavior they couldn't link to intoxication and for not paying the bill. And then things get worse.
Much worse. When they arrested her, her purse, phone, ID, money, all of it stayed in her car.
Which was then towed
To an impound yard down on Pacific Coast Highway. And Mitrice, she's taken about 10 miles, it's like 16 kilometers, up Malibu Canyon Road to the sheriff's station. It's pretty remote up there.
10 miles away from her car, her phone, her money, into a canyon.
Yeah, separated from everything she needed. And this is where the decisions made at the station become just devastating, because they knew there were concerns.
Wait, hold on. New house. Someone told them.
Yes. Her mother, Mitrice's mom, Lettice Sutton, called the station. She was worried, expressed serious concerns about her daughter's mental state, warned them.
She warned them. Did she say what she was worried about specifically?
The sources state she voiced concerns for her mental well-being, and crucially, she says she was promised by the deputies on the phone that Mitrice would not be released until the next morning.
Promised. Until daylight, basically.
Exactly. When it was safer, when maybe arrangements could be made. But that promise was broken.
When was she actually released?
September 17th, just after midnight, 12:28 a.m.
In the middle of the night.
Into the dark in Malibu Canyon with absolutely nothing. No phone, no money, no way to contact anyone, just stranded.
What was the department's justification for that?
Well, the LASD spokesman later said, and I'm quoting here, she exhibited no signs of mental illness or intoxication. She was fine. She's an adult. They also claim they offered her the chance to wait in the lobby, but she said no.
But, okay, even if she declined, she's miles from anywhere, no resources, acting bizarrely enough to get arrested. What's the duty of care there? Isn't there some protocol?
That's the massive question, isn't it? It seems like the protocol for releasing someone in that condition, in that location at that time, it was either non-existent or just completely ignored.
Right.
A catastrophic failure of duty of care.
And then she vanishes. When was the last time anyone actually saw her?
A few hours later, around 6:30 a.m. that same morning, she was seen in somebody's backyard in Montanito, which isn't super far from the station, but still pretty isolated.
Whose backyard?
It was actually Bill Smith, a former KTLA news anchor. He saw her, asked if she was okay.
Then what did she say?
She just said she was resting. He felt something was off, though, and called the police.
Yeah. When they got there?
She was gone. Vanished again.
Okay, so she's missing. What about the search efforts?
Well, initially, nothing concrete. Then, about 4 months later, January 2010, the LASD organized this huge search, one of the biggest they'd ever done, apparently.
How big?
Over 300 volunteers, covering something like 18 square miles of that rugged canyon terrain. Nothing. They didn't find her.
4 months, massive search, Still nothing.
Right, but the search didn't stop there. The public, her family, they keep pushing. In June 2010, another search happened, this one organized by private citizens.
Like volunteers?
Yeah, over 100 people. Maurice Dubois, whose own daughter Amber went missing in California, helped organize it. They went back to that Montanito area.
And did they find anything?
They found some disturbing things. Yeah. In a culvert, they found really offensive graffiti, racist, sexist stuff. And paint cans, brushes nearby. Potential evidence, maybe? It definitely suggested activity in the area.
So maybe not just someone lost, but potential foul play?
Yeah.
That adds another layer.
It really does. It complicates the idea that she just wandered off and succumbed to the elements, but the actual discovery, that came much later.
When were her remains finally found?
Almost a year after she disappeared, August 9th, 2010. Park rangers stumbled upon skeletal remains in a remote creek bed, deep in Malibu Canyon.
And they confirmed it was her.
Yes. The remains were identified as Mitrice Richardson. They were naked and partially mummified due to the conditions.
Oh, God. Naked in a remote creek bed. Okay, that sounds suspicious.
Extremely. And the location itself adds to it. It was very secluded, right next to this 21-acre ranch that apparently had a history.
Right.
It was known for being used for pornographic film production.
Seriously. Next to a porn ranch.
Yeah. And neighbors, people living in that specific part of the canyon, reportedly heard screams on several nights right after Mitrice disappeared.
Screams. Okay, secluded spot, history of unusual activity, reports of screams, naked remains. How was the death ruled?
Officially. Not a homicide, no foul play suspected.
Wait, how do you square all those details with no foul play? That doesn't add up.
It's incredibly hard to reconcile, and it gets worse procedurally. There's evidence that the sheriff's detectives on the scene actually removed her body before the coroner gave the okay, like against the coroner's specific instructions.
They moved the body against the coroner's orders.
That's what the reports indicate, which is a major breach of protocol in a death investigation. It raises huge questions about the integrity of the investigation right from the moment she was found.
Unbelievable. Okay, so you have this incredibly suspicious discovery, questionable handling of the scene. Where does it go from there?
Legally.
Straight to court, basically. The family filed a civil lawsuit against Los Angeles County and the LASD.
What was their main argument? Negligence. Gross negligence. They argued the sheriff's department had a duty to protect Mitrice, especially given her state, and releasing her like that under those circumstances directly led to her death. They also brought up her mental health.
Right. The mother had warned them. Did they specify a condition?
Her parents maintained she was suffering from severe bipolar disorder and that the deputies should have recognized the signs of a mental health crisis and acted accordingly, not just release her.
Was that diagnosis confirmed? Or was there disagreement there, too?
Well, that's another point of conflict in the sources we have. Her parents were adamant about the bipolar diagnosis. However, her girlfriend at the time, Tessa Moon, publicly stated she never saw signs of mental illness in Mitrice. So there's conflicting information there.
But the core of the lawsuit was the release itself, regardless of a specific diagnosis.
Exactly. The argument was that anyone exhibiting that level of distress, unable to care for themselves, shouldn't have been put in that situation by the very people who arrested her.
And did the lawsuit go anywhere?
Yes. In 2011, the family settled with LA County, privately.
How much was the settlement?
$900,000. Her parents had sued separately, so they each received $450,000.
Wow. $900,000. That's a significant amount. That feels like an admission of fault by the county, doesn't it?
It certainly implies a recognition of liability, or at least a desire to avoid a potentially larger verdict at trial. A payout that large speaks volumes, even if it's not a formal admission of guilt in a legal sense.
Oh, but that's a civil settlement. What about criminal charges? Did anyone face consequences for the decisions made that night or the handling of the remains?
That's where it gets even more frustrating. The California Attorney General's office looked into it.
Okay, what was the timeline on that?
It was drawn out. First, in November 2015, the AG's office took an initial look and said, basically, no grounds for criminal charges here.
So case closed.
Not quite, because just a couple of months later, January 2016, they reversed course. Suddenly, they announced they were opening a formal criminal investigation into how the case was handled.
A reversal. Why? Did new evidence come out?
It's not entirely clear from the sources why they reversed, but they did. It suggests maybe public pressure or perhaps something new internally prompted a deeper look.
So they launch a full criminal investigation. What did they find?
After another year, in January 2017, they concluded the investigation, the finding, insufficient evidence to bring criminal charges against anyone involved.
So Nothing. No criminal prosecution.
None. Which leaves us with this huge disconnect, right? A nearly $1 million civil settlement suggesting serious wrongdoing by the county, but the state finds no basis for criminal charges against any individual deputies or officials.
That's profoundly unsatisfying.
That's it.
Especially given how public this case became.
Oh, yeah. It got major media attention. People magazine cover, featured on shows like Disappeared, lots of podcast coverage. People were, and still are, deeply invested in finding answers.
Understandably. The whole sequence is just chilling. Minor issue, arrest, bizarre behavior ignored, promise broken, released into danger, vanishes, found under suspicious circumstances, investigation questioned.
Right. It's like a cascade of failures. The decision to take away her phone, her car, her money, and then release her into the dark, miles from anywhere, despite clear warnings. It set everything in motion.
And the conflicting details just keep piling up: the mental health questions, the coroner's order being ignored, the settlement versus no charges.
It really forces you, the listener, to think about accountability. What does it mean when an institution pays out nearly $1 million because something went terribly wrong, but no individual is deemed criminally responsible?
Yeah, the system acknowledged fault financially, but not criminally.
It highlights a potential gap. Is negligence, even deadly negligence, always criminal? And it makes you question the baseline procedures. What should happen when someone vulnerable is released?
Which brings us right to our final thought for you today. We have a $900,000 settlement essentially confirming negligence by LA County and Mitrice Richardson's death. Yet the Attorney General found insufficient evidence for criminal prosecution.
So the question is, how do we bridge that gap? What policies need to change to legally mandate protection for individuals released from custody when they're clearly vulnerable, exhibiting bizarre behavior, lacking resources like a phone or transport?
Should there be non-negotiable steps, like mandatory transport, waiting until daylight no matter what, a required mental health check before release in certain cases?
What constitutes real accountability and what procedural changes are absolutely necessary to prevent another tragedy like this? Something to think about.
Definitely something to think about. We'll leave you with that. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.